السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, today we are beginning lesson number 27 or lesson number 7, depending on the book we are using. Of course, this particular lesson we are going to be continuing with the adjunct verbs. If you can remember previously, we look at the misal verbs, and then today inshallah we'll be looking at the adjunct verbs. So here there is a dialogue here, but before we begin reading from the dialogue, I would like us to look at the basic explanation on these particular types of verbs before we come back to the dialogue. So please observe here. Here we have basic rules. Of course, like the other previously we look at the misal verbs, and then we saw some rules that is regarding the misal verbs. Similarly, with the adjunct verbs, there are similar rules, or there are also rules that are governing it. So I would like us to look at those rules, some basic, mainly how they are conjugated before we begin reading from the book. So please observe here. The first one that I would like to make mention of is the fact that alif is not a root letter of a verb. If you look at the adjunct verbs, they are in this form: qala, okay, jaba, ba'a, mala, khafa. So those are, they are what we term as the adjunct verbs. They have at the middle a harf al-illa. So qala, you can see the alif, which is a harf al-illa, is at the middle. Okay, so qala, jaba, ba'a, mala, khafa, all these are adjunct verbs. They have in the middle a harf al-illa. So there is something that we, as I said, this first point is making clear that alif is not a root letter. So if you look at the example qala, let's take qala for example. Qala, you can see there are two letters here. Actually, it is on the pattern of fa'ala. So fa'ala, meaning there are three letters. Fa'ala. But if you look at here, qala, there are two main letters here. That's the qaf and then the lam. At the middle, you have the alif. So the alif there is the third root letter, is the middle root letter, but it is not a root letter. What we are learning is that alif is not a root letter. So if we say that alif is not a root letter, meaning it will be left with qaf and then lam as the root letter. So where is the third root letter? I hope that is clear. If you compare it to fa'ala, you see the ayn position. The fa corresponds to the qaf here. The ayn is corresponding to the to the alif here. Then the lam is corresponding to the lam here. But the ayn position is occupied by an alif. So if you see this, one thing we need to know is alif is not a root letter. So it means that the alif is not a root letter. It is something else, and we'll come to see. So what is that root letter? I hope that is clear. But that's just what this main point number one is emphasizing. Alif is not a root letter. So if you see the alif here, it is not a root letter. Okay, we'll come to see if it's not a root letter. So why is it there, or where is that root letter? I hope that is clear. Because at least it should have three root letters. So like fa'ala. So here the qaf is the first root letter. Then the middle root letter, of course, that's where the alif is. But we are saying it's not a root letter. Then the lam. Okay, so they are supposed to be three, but we are saying that alif is not a root letter. So we'll see why is it there, and where is that root letter which is supposed to be there. So that's the first thing we need to know. It is not a root letter. I hope that is clear. So if it is not a root letter, now let's see what is happening. Why is it there? If you see the alif, it means that it is replaced. It replaced a letter which was initially waw or ya. When you see the adjunct verbs, qala, ja'a, ba'a, mala, khafa, haba, all these verbs that you are seeing with the alif at the middle, three-letter verbs with alif in the middle, the alif is either one. It replaced a waw or a ya. So it was originally a waw or a ya, which got replaced by the alif. I hope that is clear. So three-letter verbs with alif at the middle, that's the adjective verbs. The madi, the fi'l madi. The alif is not the root letter. It replaced a waw or a ya. So it was initially a waw or a ya, which got replaced by the alif. So see something. Qala is this is the actual verb. Qawala. So when you hear qala means he said. The original verb is qawala. Qawala. But as I said, the waw got replaced by an alif. Then it became qala. But the original verb is qawala. The same way jaba. It was initially jawaba. Then it became jaba. I hope that is clear. Jaba means he explored. Okay. Then ba'a means he sold. It was initially baya'a. You see there's ya. It was initially ya. That where the alif is, it was initially ya. So this asl means the origin. This is the original word. So baya'a, it was initial baya'a, then it became ba'a. Ba'a means he sold. But if I ask you ba'a, this verb, what's the original verb? Because the alif there is not a root letter. So it means there must have been some changes to make it easy to pronounce. All these rules, the Arabs makes it to make their conversation very easy. I hope that is clear. To make their conversation very easy. Of course, everybody like ease in speaking. So there is due to difficulty. Okay, seeing kawala is difficult than seeing kola. If I just say kola, it's easy to say kola. Simple. I want to say kawala. Okay, jawaba. Okay, baya'a. All this one is difficult to pronounce. So that's why they simply turn it to kola, ja'aba. Easy to see than this one. But we need to know it. As an Arabic foundation, foundation of grammar, we need to know the original letters. Of course, it will help us a lot in other places, okay, of studies in the Arabic language. So that's the same thing here. Ba'a was initially baya'a. So as I said, it's actually going to either be a waw or a ya that got replaced by the alif. I hope that is clear. Then mala, you can see mala. Mala means he leaned towards something. Okay, so it was initial mayala. So saying mayala is difficult. So mayala and then mala, which one is easier to pronounce? Mala, casual. Okay, but it's a mayala. It's difficult to pronounce. Of course, no one wants difficulty. Everybody would like ease. So they simply say mala. Okay, to make the things speaking easy. But we need to know that it was originally mayala. Okay, then here khafa, it was initially khawifa. Then the ya, you can see there's a ya at the middle. It got turned into alif, then it became khafa. So that's the first rule we are learning here. Alif is not a root letter. Okay, when you see alif at the middle of a three-letter verb, the adjective verbs, it was actually waw or ya that got changed into the alif. Now, what do we need to also learn? We need to know why. For example, kola. How do I know that it was actually? We said that it was either waw or ya which got replaced by the alif. How do I know specifically it was waw or it was ya? Like here, I say it was the actual verb is kawala. So how do I know it was not kayala but kawala? It could be two possibilities. I said it could be replaced by it could either be ya or wa, which got replaced by the alif. So how do I know specifically it was waw or ya? Like here, you see baya'a, it was initial baya'a, which got which then the ya is replaced by the alif, then it became ba'a. So how do I know it was not bawa'a, but it was baya'a with ya? Now the simplicity is you will go to the mudore. We need to look at the mudore. So kola, what's the mudore? Yakulu. Yakulu means he is saying. Kola, he said. Yakulu, he is saying. So if I look at yakulu, what is there? Is it wow or ya? Yaku, you can see the wow. Yaku, you can see the wow. So meaning it was initially kawala. So you simply look at the mudore. If there is a wa in the mudore, okay, if there is a wa in the mudore, which comes for prolongation, meaning it was the original root letter was having wow. But if there is ya there, meaning it was having ya. So you need the mudore to know whether it was actually wow or ya. So if I say jaba, okay, jaba, I give you this verb jaba, and I ask you what was the original, what is the asl, the original word. You know, jaba. If I say jaba, you know the alif is not a root letter. So what was the initial there before the alif replaced it? Was it wow or ya? You have to look at the mudore. Okay, jaba, yajubu, yajubu. You can see yaju. You can see there is wa there. So meaning it was ja-wa-ba. I hope that is clear. And the same way, ba'a yabi'u. So meaning you need to know the mudore before you can know whether the alif in the madi was initially wow or ya. So ba'a, the mudore is yabi'u. You can see yabi, that's wow, ya there, rather, that's ya, yabi'u. So the ya, there's ya there after the ba. So meaning that ya was, it was actually ya in the madi that got replaced by the alif. So it was baya'a. I hope that is clear. The same way here, mala, yamilu. As I said, you need to know the mudore before. So mala, the mudore is yamilu. Yamilu means he is leaning towards something. So mala, yamilu. So if I ask you, this alif, it was replaced, is replaced. So what did it replace? Or what was actually there before the alif replaced it? You tell me. You have to look at the mudore. The mudore is what? Yamilu. So that's ya there. So it will be what? Mayala. Okay, mayala. Oh, that's clear. So that's the actual verb, mayala. Then we turn it to mala. Oh, that's clear. Then let's look at the last one. Khafa. If you look at the mudore, what's there? Okay, yakhafu. So here is funny. If you look at the mudore, there's no wow and there's no ya. Khafa. The mudore is yakhafu. Khafa means he feared. Yakhafu, he is fearing. So there's no wow or ya there. Yakhafu. The alif still remains in the mudore. Yakhafu is not yakhawfu or yakhifu. It's yakhafu. The alif is still there. So it's no wow or ya in the mudore. So this type of verbs, where if you can use the mudore to determine, you now have to look at the masdar. You have to look at the masdar, the verbal noun, which is khawf, fear. So the masdar is what? Khawfun, fear. So if you look at the masdar, you will be able to determine. You see there's wow there. So meaning it was what? Khawifa. I hope that is clear. Khawifa. Okay. So why didn't I say khawafa? All this one I say qala, kawala, jawaba, baya'a, mayala. But here you can see it is khawifa. It's not khawafa. We'll look at it in the second point here. Why some are having kesra and some are having fatha. I mean the middle letter that was replaced maya. Okay, baya, jawa. But here khawi, not khawa. We'll look at where the vowel, how the vowel is also determined. I hope that's clear. So simplicity, if you look at the mudore, and the mudore is still having fatha, is still having alif instead of waw or ya, you need to look at the masdar to be able to determine the actual letter which was replaced by the alif. I hope that is clear. Then the second thing is, it could be a zaida. If you see an alif as a root letter, as I said, the first case is it replaced a waw or a ya. That's the first meaning. The second meaning is it is a zaida, an addition. So there are two possibilities when you see an alif okay, in a verb. So it's the one is it replaced a waw or a ya, and we have looked at how it is replaced and how to determine what it replaced. Then the second thing is it is a zaida. It is an addition. It's not part of the root letters. It didn't replace any root letter. It's just there as an additional letter. Like here, qatala. Qatala. You see the letters are more than 3. Qatala. This qaf. Then this mad, the alif there, which is a mad, is an elongation. So it's a zaida. Then it's not a root letter actually. Then the ta, then the lam. So the qaf here correspond to the fa. If you put it on the scale of fa'ala, the qaf here correspond to the fa. Then the ta correspond to the ayn. Then the lam correspond to the lam. If you compare it to fa'ala, so you see the alif there, or the 3 root letters, they are matched. So the alif is now a zaida. I hope that is clear. Here, if you see the qaf correspond to the fa, the lam correspond to the lam, then the alif will correspond to the ayn. And we said alif cannot be a root letter, so meaning it replaced something. But here, the root letters are the qaf, the ta, and the lam, which are 3. So the ayn there is a zaida. It is not replacing anything. It's not in the position of anything. It is just a zaida, an addition. So I hope that is clear. So that's the 2 possibilities when you see an alif in a verb. So now let's look at determining the vowel on the root letter replaced by the alif. How do I know here is kawala? You see the waw there. Why is the waw having fatha? Why is it not having kesra or doma? Why didn't I say kawhila or kawula? Jawaba. Why didn't I say jawiba or jawuba? Okay, but mostly we see fatha. Fatha is mostly taken fatha. Why? So let's look at this. Let me make it clear. If I tell you here, okay, if I see the alif here is replaced, it replaced a waw or a ya. You can look at the mudore yakulu and determine that it replaced a waw. You can see waw in the mudore. So it was initially the alif was initially waw. Now, how do you know that that waw is having fatha, kesra, or dhamma? That's what we are coming to look at here. So here it is mentioned, it is saying that yaf. If you look at the mudore, of course, you need to use the mudore again here to know the letter, the vowel on the replaced letter. So if you look at the mudore, if inside the mudore you are having waw or ya, then it will be having fatha. But if you are having alif, you will be having kasra on the middle letter. So look at here. Yakul, you can see there is waw there. There is waw, so it will be fatha on the ayn. But if it is alif, then you have kasra on the ayn. So here, that's why it is kawala. Kawala. Because if you look at the mudore, you have to look at the mudore, yaf'alu or yaf'ilu or yaf'ulu. The mudore, here is mudore. So if you look at the mudore, the ayn position, the second last letter, if it is waw or ya, then meaning the replaced letter was having fatha. But if the second last letter is fatha, is alif, like here, yakhafu, you see the second last letter is alif, then meaning that the replaced letter, as I said, you go to the masdar and check, and that will be the waw, khawf, which is having waw. So the replaced letter, the waw here in the madi, is having kesra. So hawifa. That's why here is hawifa, but here is mayala, not mayila. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now let's look at the third here. What we are mentioning here is the 3 scales of the ajwaf verbs. The 3 scales of the ajwaf verbs. And we said it can come on 3 scales. This one is just a basic categorization of the patterns in which the ajwaf verbs can come. So the first one here we are having is fa'ala, yaf'ilu, and an example is baya'a, yabyi'u. Then it can also come on fa'ala, yaf'ulu, and then fa'ila, yaf'alu. So these are the three cases. Fa'ala yaf'ulu, example is kawala yakulu. Okay, yakulu. So that's the actually how the mudari is. But we'll look at that conjugation also, how it changes into yakulu instead of yakulu. Then let's look at here. Fa'ila yaf'alu. That's the other pattern in which it can come. Example is khawifa yahwafu. Yahwafu. So these are the three skills in which the fi'l mudari can I'm saying the fi'l al-ajwaf, the ajwaf verbs, af'al al-ajwaf, in which they can come. I hope that is clear. Okay. So let's look at let's continue with another important points here to look at. So please observe here. Here we are having here why. So here, if you can see here, we said it was initially in the Madi. If the Madi is, let's say, Kola, Jaba, Ba'a, Mala, Khafa, we said the Alif was replaced by a Waw or a Ya. Or we said the Alif replaced, rather, the Alif replaced, or it is in the position of what was initially a Waw or a Ya. I hope that is clear. Now let's look at why do we replace it? Why as we say Kawala, why do we replace the Waw by an Alif? Why do we take the Waw here, then we replace it by an Alif, then it becomes Kola instead of Kawala? Why did we do so? This is as I said, there's a rule, and that's the rule is what is stated here. When a mutaharrik, Waw or Ya, okay, when you have a mutaharrik, a Waw or a Ya, that is mutaharrik. When we say mutaharrik, meaning it is not having sukun, it is having a fatha, kesra or dhamma. Okay, it is having a vowel, which is, I mean, apart from sukun. Okay, it is having fatha, kesra, dhamma, mutaharrik. I hope that is clear. Actually, taharraka means to move. Okay, mutaharrik is something that moves. Okay, but school is, if I know school, when you get to school, it means you are stopping. Okay, school is kind of stopping the pronunciation. But fatha, dhamma, kesra, they are, I mean, movement. It indicates movement. So a mutaharrik Waw or Ya, when you have a Waw or Ya that has fatha, kesra, dhamma, and is preceded, okay, I think here is preceded rather, okay, preceded, and is preceded by a letter having fatha in a verb, the Waw or the Ya is replaced by Alif. So this, we are basing our decision by this rule. It is replaced based on this rule. So please note this rule very well. When you have a Waw or a Ya, which is having fatha, kesra, dhamma, that's what we mean by mutaharrik. It is having fatha, kesra or dhamma, and is preceded, okay, by a letter which has fatha. Let's look at example. Kawala. You see the Waw here. It is mutaharrik. The Waw here. It is having fatha, okay, kesra or dhamma. Of course, it is having fatha. So it's one of the three. Fatha, kesra, dhamma is having fatha. So that's meaning there's a Waw and it is mutaharrik. And it's preceded. It's preceded by a cough. We see the cough, which is having fatha. So it is preceded by a letter having fatha. You see here the cough is what precedes it, and it is having fatha. So we say the Waw, that Waw or that Ya will be replaced by an Alif. So that's why it becomes Kola. Then here, Jawafa, we have the Waw here, which is mutaharrik. It is having fatha, kesra, dhamma. It is having fatha. Then it is preceded by a letter. That's the Jim. The Jim here is having fatha, which is having fatha. Okay, by a letter having fatha. Then it will become Alif. It will be turned to Alif. So that's what the Arab do. That's what they does. In the Arabic language, in verbs, to make the pronunciation easy. If I'm going to say Kawala, it's difficult. So when you have this half illa, one other Waw or Ya having fatha, kesra, dhamma, and the letter that comes before it is also having fatha, then fatha specifically, then that Waw or Ya will become Alif. It will be turned to Alif. They simply change it to Alif. Because during that, when this condition is met, the pronunciation will be difficult. So that's why they simply say, when this condition is met, we simply change the harf al-illa, the Waw or the Ya to Alif. How that is clear. Okay, so let's look at examples here. Kawala, as I said, kawala. Saying kawala is difficult. So you see that wow. Okay, this wow is having fatha, kesra dhamma, it is mutaharrik. Then it is preceded by a qaf it is preceded by a letter which has fatha. When that happens, a wow or a ya, okay, in a verb, having fatha, kesra dhamma, preceded by a letter or following a letter which has fatha, that wow or ya will be turned to alif. So here it will become qala. Then here sawama, the same thing. The wa here is having fatha, kasra or dhamma, and it is preceded by a letter which has what? Fatha. So it will be turned to alif, then it will become sawma, not sawama. The same way here, jaya'a. It is the ya here is having what? Fatha. It is mutaharrik. It is having fatha, kasra, dhamma. Then it is preceded by a letter which has fatha. Then it will become ja'a instead of jaya'a. So ja'a means he came. But if I ask you what was the original verb, you tell me it is jaya'a. Jaya'a. So that's the actual verb. The main thing, the reason why we are learning this one, why? So someone asks, so they have changed it. So why are we now learning the original? As I said, it's for our foundation. It's for our foundation. You don't just need to know how to speak, and you don't know in writing. It will help us a lot. The surf. If someone is very, very good in the Arabic language, or if we now say, okay, this person at least he knows Arabic language. The main thing we are meaning is he knows a lot of surf. Yes, because the surf is the main origin, the main foundation. So if the foundation is shaking, everything is shaking. Wallahi, surf is a very, 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 strong foundation of Arabic language. If your surf is very good, bear witness with me. Any other higher level Arabic language you are going to learn, it will be easy for you. If you go to learn balaga, okay, shi'r, all these other aspects, they will be very easy for you. But if the surf is weak, if any other thing you are high level Arabic will be difficult. So that's why we are learning the foundation. We need to know what was the original thing. Then we know it. It's not just that we are speaking, but even when we put it on paper, we can even drive what was the original thing. This is how it is. So that meaning that we really know the thing. How that is clear. So that's why we are learning these rules. How that is clear. So please, as I said, these are the main important part of the book. This book, especially the book 2 of the Madinah series. Okay, the series that are in the 3 volumes. The series that has the book 1, book 2, and book 3 alone. The book 2. Okay, this is the main part, which is very, very important. This is the main part. All other aspects are also important, but of course, this is the main one. This is the main one. It will help us a lot in understanding the Quran. The Arabic of the Quran, the surf, very, very important. So please observe. So here is tawafa. As I said, when a waw or a ya that has a haraka, fatha, kasra, dhamma, is preceded by a letter that has fatha, it will turn to alif. So we have tawafa. The same way here, kawama. Okay, similar thing, then it will turn to koma. Zawara, then it turn to zara. I hope that is clear. So these are what we say. In speaking, we just say kola, soma, he fasted. Ja'a, he came. Tofa, he circumambulated. Koma, he stood up. Dara, he went around. But these are the original verbs. Kawala, sawama, jaya'a, tawafa, kawama, okay, dawara. So these are the actual verbs. I hope that is clear. Then for simplicity in speaking, we just turn it to this way. So these are the origin, but these are used. We use these ones. Okay. And this is the mudore. So that's the main thing here. I hope that's clear. Okay. Now let's look at the tasrif. Tasrif here, we are going to look at one pronounce attached to it. How does it change? Example, if I say caller means he said. But if I want to refer it to myself, I said, we said, they said, he said, okay, we are seeing. All these ones, how do we do it? Like the conjugation of the past tense verb. If we are attaching a pronoun to it, does it change, or how does it change? Okay, so that's what we are going to look at. Actually, if we have like zahaba means he went. But if I want to say I went, I'll simply add to it. So I'll say zahab to. Jalasa means he sat, but I'll say jalas to, I sat. I hope that is clear. But these verbs, they are a little bit different. So that's why we are going to look at them once again. Even though we have looked at the conjugation of Madi verbs, past tense verbs, but there is a little bit of difference here. And there are two important rules here. And that's what we are coming to look at. So please observe. Let's use caller as our first example. We are going to look at 3 examples. Okay. And inshallah, we will be okay with the conjugation. Now let's look at the first example. We are using caller as the example. Caller. If I want to say caller means he said, but if I want to say I said, what do I do? From what we already know that what we have learned previously, if you want to add pronoun to a verb, example, to, I'll add the to like this, right? What we have learned. Then I'll put school on the last letter. Example, zahaba. Zahaba means he went. But if I want to say that I went, I'll say what? I'll put school on the last letter, zahab, zahab, and then I'll add to. I hope that is clear. Zahab, to. I'll put school on the last letter and then add the pronoun. So let's look at that. Now let's do it here and see whether it will work. Here, the verb is caller. If I now do this, this is what I'll get. Okay, call to. Call to. It's not easy to. You see, there is now iltiqa as-sakinain. 2 schools are meeting. The alif here, which is a harf illa, you know it is already having school. It is not mutaharrik. It is ghayr mutaharrik. It is having school. So, if I add school on the last letter and attach the pronoun, there will now be 2 schools like here. This is what we are now going to get. And you know that when there is iltiqa as-sakinain, we cannot pronounce the word. When we have 2 schools, when 2 schools meet, we can pronounce it. So in Arabic language, la yaltakiyani sakinani fi lugat al-arabiyya. 2 schools doesn't meet in Arabic language. In a word in Arabic language, 2 schools doesn't meet. So we have to do something. So of course, what do we now do? When 2 schools are meeting on 2 letters in a verb or in a word, we have to remove one of the schools or one of the letters with the school to make the word pronounceable. So what we simply do, we remove the weak letter. The weak letter will be the harf al-illa. Oh, that is clear. We remove the harf al-illa. So that's what we see here. For us to proceed, the weak letter, that's the harf al-illa, is removed in the case of iltiqa as-sakinain. Iltiqa as-sakinain. So what we have here, like this, we have to remove the alif to be able to pronounce it. So the alif will sacrifice and go away, so that it will now be pronounceable. So if you remove the alif, it will now be qalatu, qalatu, qalatu. I hope that is clear. Qalatu. Now, if we as for now, so we have removed the alif. But of course, once again, the second rule, as I said, there are 2 rules here. The first rule is when the 2 schools meet, when there is iltiqa as-sakinain, okay, on 2 letters, we remove the weak letter to be able to make it pronounceable. The second thing is, after we remove it, we have to leave an asar. An asar means a footprint, okay, an indication that we removed something. We don't just do things anyhow in Arabic. Of course, so that if someone is tracing, assuming I'm a nahwi, I'm a grammarian, and I'm sitting down, maybe you wrote a particular word and you conjugate it, and I'm sitting down to trace it. Okay, if for me to be able to know that you removed, you change, there was iltiqa sakina, then you remove it. Here, I can't just look at this verb like this. Okay, here, assume if we leave it this way, qaltu. If someone says qaltu, he can never know that there was an iltiqa as-sakinain. Then you remove a harf illa. He cannot know that. So we have to leave an asar, a mark, an indication that there was two schools beaten, then we remove it. How do we do that? We change the letter on the haraka. We change the vowel on the first letter, then to give an indication that there was a removal of a harf al-illa. So to indicate the removal of the harf al-illa, the vowel on the fa kelima, that's the first root letter, is changed. So we now change it from fatha to dhamma, then it will now become qultu. So that's how we get qultu in Arabic. Qultu, I said. So from qala means he said. Qultu, I said. I hope you can now conjugate it. So the conjugation is a little bit different from the other verbs. The other verbs, as I said, we simply add school on the last letter. Then, we change the school. We change the vowel on the last letter to school. Then we add the pronoun. But if we do that here, you see there will be a problem, and that's the car sakin, and two schools will be meeting, and that's not possible to pronounce. So what do we say? We say when there is iltika sakin or two letters in a noun or in a word, you simply remove the harf al-illa. The weak letter will be what will be removed to make it pronounceable. So if you do that, it will now be something like this: qalatu. But in order to give an answer, an indication that we change something, we removed something, we have to change the letter, the vowel on the first letter, the fa kelima, to something else. And so from fatha we change it to dhamma, and that is qultu instead of qalatu. So qultu. So that's how we conjugate the madi verbs, the past tense verbs of the fi'l ajwaf. You can try any other pronoun instead of qultu, I said. So you can say kulna, we said. Kulna, females, okay, plural of them, okay, they said. So kultum, okay, kulta, kulti, all these ones you can conjugate it. It's not going to be any different. It's the same thing, just that the two will be ti or ta or tunna or tum or whatever pronoun you are attaching. I hope that is clear. Let's look at a second example. Ba'a. We have ba'a like this. Ba'a means he sold. Okay, he sold. So if you want to say I sold, I am the one who sold it. How do we do it? Of course, as I said, how do we know how to conjugate? We have learned this before. Simplicity, the original one, or what we have learned previously is you put sukun on the last letter, then you add the domir, add the pronoun you are coming to add. Okay, I want to say I sold it. So I'll do this, add sukun on the last letter, then I'll attach the pronoun to. So if I do this, note, you need to note that this is already having sukun. Okay, the alif here is already having sukun. It is very mutaharrik. It's not having fatha, kasra or dhamma. It is having sukun. So if you do this, you see there's now iltiqa as-sakin, and two schools are now meeting, and that's not possible in Arabic. You can't have two schools following one another. And so we said that you remove the harf al-illa. The weak letter will be removed, then it will now become ba'atu, like this, ba'atu, which means I sold. But of course, it's not complete. We have to leave an asar, an indication that we remove a letter. And how do we do it? We change the letter on the vowel on the first letter. We change the vowel on the first letter. So if we are changing the vowel, here we change it to dhamma. Here we will change it to kasra. Why do we change here to dhamma and here to kasra? You have to use the mudari. Qala, the mudari is yakulu. So when you have dhamma, Swiss, or what Swiss, I'm saying dhamma. What Swiss wow is dhamma. Dhamma is what Swiss is suitable for wow. So when you look at the mudari, qala, the mudari is what? Yakulu. So you see when it is wow in the mudari, you change it to dhamma. But if it is ya, like here, ba'a, the mudari is yabi'u. You can see yabi, there is wow there, yabi'u, there is no wow. And what is suitable for ya is kesra. Okay, kesra. It's difficult when a kesra comes for wow. Okay, like example, yakulu. You won't say yakilu. You see, it's difficult. So wow is what suits it is dhamma. And when we have ya, what suits it is kesra. Okay, ya B, you can say ya bu, ya bui. It's difficult to pronounce when there is Dhamma. So, when it is wow, you put Dhamma. You change the first letter to Dhamma, the vowel on the first letter to Dhamma. And when it is ya, you change it to Kesra. I hope that is clear. Now let's look at here. The last example, Khafa. Khafa, yakhafu. Khafa, yakhafu. So I hope you are already seeing something. Khafa, yakhafu. If we go to the Mudore, like here, Khafa, yakhafu. If you go to the Mudore, there's no waw or ya. So are we changing it to Dhamma of Kesra? There's nothing to. Here is Kesra, sorry. Okay, let me change it. It's not Fatha. I wrote Fatha. It's supposed to be Kesra. Okay. So this is what I should put there. We have Kesra here. Oh, that's clear. Okay. So Khafa yakhafu. If you look at the Mudore, of course, Khafa yakhafu. You see there's Dhamma. There's no Dhamma or there's no waw or ya there, but there's still alif there. So what do we put there? Do we change the last letter to Dhamma or Kesra? When you have that in the conjugation of them, you change it to Kesra. You put it Kesra. Okay. When you have alif in the Madi, alif in the Mudore, in the when we are conjugating it, we change it to Kesra. So note that also. Okay. It can only be Dhamma or Kesra. I hope that is clear. What we are changing here can only be Dhamma or Kesra. We change it to either Dhamma or Kesra. We change it to Dhamma when you have waw, and you change it to Kesra when you have ya in the Mudore. But when you still have alif in the Mudore with no either waw or ya, we still have alif in the Mudore. We of course we change it to Kesra, still Kesra. I hope that's clear. So Khafa, when you add the ta to it and you put school on the last letter, it will be khaftu, khaftu, khaftu. And no one will see that. You can't even pronounce that. Okay. So you remove one of the harf in the letters with the school, and that will be the weak letter. That's the harf in. So you now have khaftu, khaftu. But to indicate that you remove something, we turn it. We change the vowel on the first letter. How do we change it? We look at the Mudore. The Mudore is what? Yakhafu. So it's not having waw or ya. It's yakhafu. It's still alif there. And I said when you have that, you simply change it to Kesra. So you have khiftu. I hope that is clear. So those are the basic rules that we would like to look at for the Fi'l al-Ajwaf before we begin the lesson, inshallah. Reading from the dialogue. So alhamdulillah, I know there are a lot of rules here that we have learned. So please, I will, of course, we'll pause here. Then in the next lesson, we'll begin reading maybe from the dialogue. But I would like you to do a revision. Please revise what we have learned so that it will stick very well before the next lesson. So that when we are reading from the dialogue, everything will be easy and we will understand why certain things are going to be there. Of course, if we hadn't done this, then we just jump into the dialogue. There will be a lot of confusion, of course, because there are some difference compared to other verbs, how other verbs are conjugated. So that's why we had to do this introductory lesson on the Fi'l al-Ajwaf. So please take note of those rules. It will help us a lot. And please revise them, so that it will stick very well before the next lesson. Jazakum Allahu Khairan. وبارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.